But I I think that there's a lot of motivation for this team. I will say this though, I do think this team is probably a little bit overly confident. And I think if you're a Tennessee fan, you hope that bites them in Alabama, a game they probably should lose anyway, as opposed to a game like LSU, a game that the odds makers say they should win.
That is very true. And also, even though they probably will lose to Alabama, there's an opportunity for history next week if they win this game. I did some tracking just randomly, exhaustive Wikipedia searches, guys. But a few days ago, if Tennessee stays where they are, and if they beat LSU, in all likelihood they'll at least move up one spot. And if Alabama stays number one, next week will be the highest combined ranking between Tennessee and Alabama in any game they've ever played each other. And that, yeah,
Ever?
ever.
Wow. Yeah,
Ever.
it's normally lopsided. You're right.
Yeah.
That's why.
It's like historically Tennessee and Alabama are one team is up, the other team is down, and yeah, ever. There have been a few top 10 matchups, but there haven't been this is like 1 versus 7 or 1 versus 8. So yeah, it'll be ever.
I think it'll be like 1 versus 5 by the time we get there.
It could. I mean, think about it. They did the SEC division split in 1992, and I mean, the assumption was the most common SEC championship game would be Tennessee and Alabama. That's never happened ever since the split in 92. And
wow.
So yeah, I think that Tennessee, game day might be back in town again. I mean, there's a lot to be excited about if you're Tennessee, because they might have a big audience watching them lose to Alabama next week.
Yeah, but I think schematically, more so than Georgia, that Tennessee has an opportunity to hang with Alabama for 2.5, 3 quarters. I think they can. I think eventually the talent will be the differentiating factor. But
yeah, they hung last year until the 4th.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're a good matchup against them. So what are some keys to the game, Caleb, that you'll be watching other than win one for the Tiller?
I think the biggest thing is
Amanda thinks I'm so stupid the way she looks.
Everybody's going to talk about the key is like, what can the secondary do? I don't think that's a key. I think it's just a given and a wash that the same issues are going to be there. So the question is, how can they mitigate those? One, we've talked about gap integrity a lot of times, but in this situation, the edge rushers, Byron Young and Tyler Barron, need to find a way to maintain gap integrity, would actually get a few sacks in this one. Jayden Daniels has been sacked 16 times this year. He's a couple guys I know at LSU say it's more the play calling than Daniels, but I don't know. I've watched some film. He doesn't have good pocket presence at all.
No, and he doesn't throw the ball downfield. When's the last time? I can't remember if I talked to you or everybody else because it's Friday and it kind of just jumbles in your brain. When is the last time you've heard of a head coach saying this guy needs to force the ball down the field more? Usually it's the exact opposite. He needs to protect the ball more. But Brian Kelly said that this week.
Yeah, exactly, which is why Jayden Daniels' 0 interceptions is not the same as Hendon Hooker's 0 interceptions. They're nowhere near the same caliber in that regard, because Hooker does take shots. Hooker's still smart with the ball. He still protects the ball. But Daniels, you're right, he takes no chances, has no pocket awareness. And the difference between him and Anthony Richardson is, one, Anthony Richardson was bigger, so you had to contain him up the middle because he was going to be a north-south runner. But two, no one debated that Richardson was at least aggressive. And I think that I agree. I think Jayden Daniels, I think your best chance is you need Byron Young and Tyler Barron to really get pressure on him. And then you need Jeremy Banks to be and Aaron Beasley to be able to be the ones to maintain, I guess, keep him contained. But you got to turn the edge rushers a little more loose. You also need, on the other side, I think a big matchup is the guy to watch is Brew McCoy, particularly with Tillman out. Brew McCoy, I think Ramel Keaton's a little bit too skinny, what I say. He's a little bit too light. I think he's only 190 pounds, 195 pounds. LSU's press man coverage, Brew McCoy is the guy that can make them pay for that, because I don't think LSU can jam Brew McCoy at the line and get away with that. And so I think you're going to see a lot of opportunities for Brew McCoy to make a lot of plays on Saturday.
Interesting. Go ahead, Amanda.
I see Jalen Hyatt as being a factor in this game. That's just
I
me.
agree.
He's kind of like a sneaky, like you don't know he's there until he's there. He like sneaks up on, I feel like, defenders a lot, and he plays at a lot of different, like, slant routes, stuff like that. He plays a lot of different things, and he's dangerous. That's how I feel. Brew McCoy's kind of big, so you see him coming. Jalen Hyatt's like, woo.
No, you're absolutely right, Amanda. As a matter of fact, Brew McCoy is more. I talked about him winning the one-on-one matchups, but you're right. Jalen Hyatt playing in the slot, you're not really going to be able to jam him at the line a lot. So you're going to have a lot of opportunities to find him in open space. And they went. I forget the Florida State receiver, but he was another slot guy, and LSU allowed him to go for over 102 touchdowns. And so I totally agree with you. I think Jalen Hyatt is going to. I think he's destined to have a huge game on Saturday.
He's going to be the guy to watch, definitely. I was sharing a screen here with Dave because you talked about how excited Tennessee fans are. Yeah, you just have to click on it. There you go. How excited Tennessee fans are for this game and for this season. This is at the airport right now. And if you can't see it, if you're listening, there is just a massive amount of Tennessee fans getting ready to board the plane to go to LSU for this game. Just like a massive amount. So if you are wondering how excited some of the fans are, this is how excited the fans are. And the reason they're not sitting is because they're boarding the plane and they're in a giant line.
I thought they were really excited about Good Morning America.
Tennessee is going to have a lot more chances to bring pressure than they did against Florida 2 weeks ago, just because Jayden Daniels is more of an east-west runner. And they're going to have to rely on pressure a lot more throughout the year because and hopefully for them, when they start to face other quarterbacks, it won't be as big of a deal. But, I don't think, say hypothetically they get the break and don't face Bryce Young next week. Alabama's got a mobile quarterback as a backup quarterback. Is Will Levis the last pocket passer they're going to face this year in the SEC?
I don't know what UT Martin's got rolling out, but I think so.
Yeah, so that's going to be difficult because you're going to have to focus on containment the rest of the year, which is going to mean you can't bring pressure the way you want to, and that puts a lot of pressure on the cornerbacks who, like we're saying, just aren't that good.
So, in this Tennessee LSU matchup, we've seen, I can't. Boutte. We've seen him not be very successful this season. And I don't think it's because he doesn't lack the talent. It's because his quarterback just straight up won't throw to him. So how do you see this playing out? Do you think that Boutte will actually get some recognition against this Tennessee secondary that's pretty depleted?
I mean, your goal, yeah, I will say, even though I say the ultimate goal is winning the game, I think Tennessee's defense owes it to Cedric Tillman to not let Kayshon Boutte touch the ball, because I thought it was an absolute travesty that Boutte was first team All SEC over Tillman in the offseason. It was the most disrespectful thing the all SEC media voters did. And I don't know what they were smoking when they put him over Tillman.
I put Tillman first, just FYI. I put Tillman at number one. Yeah. I got to vote.
We did our votes together, and we weren't smoking anything because we were packed in the car headed back from Atlanta.
Well, I could not believe Boutte was put over Tillman. And I think that it is owed to I know there's a little, it's kind of like that Michael Jordan, I took that personally moment. I think Tennessee's defense owes it to Cedric Tillman to take that personally and not let him touch the ball at all on Saturday. Similar to, I go back to the 98 national championship game. I think one of the greatest moments was Peter Warrick got all the talk leading up to that game. And Peerless Price was the star receiver in that game with 199 yards receiving, and Dwayne Goodrich held Peter Warrick to one catch for 4 yards. And I think Tennessee owes Cedric Tillman. Whether or not Tillman plays, Tennessee owes him one of those performances.
Are you writing that today? Because if you're not, I'm taking that topic.
You can take it, yeah.
I just wrote it down over here as one feeds to another. A couple of questions. D. Williams, what were his stars coming out of high school? I just Googled that, Spencer, and it didn't have anybody, which tells it didn't have any stars. Looks like he wasn't even evaluated, which tells me one of two things. A, that there were some sort of issues where they knew that he wasn't going to be a four-year college prospect anyway, or he was just a late bloomer who really budded in his after high school in junior college, believed in himself and turned himself into a top prospect. So I can tell you he was number 3 coming out of junior college. I'm having trouble finding an eval of him